Hello students. We are going to discuss an important topic of HRM, that is, types of performance appraisal. Broadly speaking, there are two main types of performance appraisal techniques. These are past-oriented appraisal techniques, future-oriented appraisal techniques. Let's understand these techniques in depth. Under the past-oriented appraisal techniques, there are 10 techniques, which are as follows. The first one is ranking method. It is the oldest method of performance appraisal, in which employees' performance is appraised on the basis of ranking, from highest to lowest, or from best to worst. Thus, if there are 10 employees to be appraised, there will be 10 ranks, from 1 to 10. Next is paired comparison. In this method, each employee's performance is compared with other employees, and ranking of all employees is done by measuring a specific trait by making pairs of employees. Next is force distribution method. The method assumes that employees' performance level conforms to a normal statistical distribution, for example, 10, 20, 40, 20 and 10%. The workers of outstanding merit may be placed at top 10% of the scale. The rest may be placed as 20% good, 40% outstanding, 20% fair and 10% fair. This is useful for rating a large number of employees' job performance. The next is forced choice method. It contains a series of groups of statements. Typical statements are: learn fast, works hard, absent often, others usually tardy. The rater is simply expected to select the statements that describe the rate. This approach is known as forced choice method, because he is forced to select statements which are ready-made. Next is checklist method. In this method, a checklist consisting of objective statement is prepared, such as: is the worker regular at the work? Is the employee helpful to his peers? These types of questions are used for rating. The superior has to answer in yes or no to each question. Next is critical incident method. In this method, the rater focuses his or her attention on those key or critical behaviors that make the difference between performing a job in a noteworthy manner, effectively or ineffectively. The basic idea behind this rating is to appraise the workers who can perform their jobs effectively in critical situations. Next is graphic scale method. In this method, the printed appraisal form is used to appraise each employee. The common practice is to follow 5-point scale. The rater rates each appraise by checking the score that best describes his or her performance. For each trait, all assigned values for the traits are then totaled. Next is essay method. It is the simplest one among various appraisal methods available. In this method, the rater writes a narrative description on an employee's strengths, weaknesses, past performance, potential and suggestions for improvement. Next one is field review method. In this method, a human resource specialist conducts the appraisal by asking a series of questions about the employee to superior. Then, the specialist makes notes based on his interaction with superiors, and are placed in employee's file. And the last one is confidential report. This method involves preparation of confidential report by the superior on employee's performance. Now moving on. Future-oriented appraisal techniques. This technique involves 5 methods for doing performance appraisal of workers. First one is management by objectives, MBO. MBO appraisals are based on predetermined objectives, which are decided and agreed upon by the superior and the employee. It is a process of goal setting and feedback. The employee is aware of what is expected of him and is able to focus attention towards goals. MBO works can be described in 4 steps. First step: setting up of goals for the organization. Second step: in performance standards, the standards are set for the employees as per the previously arranged time period. In the third step, the actual level of goals attained is compared with the goals agreed upon. Finally, corrective measure is initiated when actual performance deviates from the standards established in the first step goal setting stage. Next technique is behaviorally anchored rating scale, BARS. BARS are descriptions of various degrees of behavior with regard to a specific performance dimension. They are said to be behaviorally anchored in that the scale represent a range of descriptive statements of behavior varying from least to the most effective. Developing BARS involve 5 steps. Generating critical incidents, developing performance dimensions, reallocating incidents, scaling incidents, developing final BARS instrument. Third technique is assessment centers. An assessment center is a central location where managers may come together to have their participation in job-related exercises evaluated by trained observers. Assess is asked to participate in basket exercises, work groups, and role-playing, which are essential for successful performance of actual job. Having recorded the assessor's behavior, the raters meet to discuss their pooled information and observations, and, based on it, they give their assessment about the assess. This technique is subject to certain limitations. It is relatively costly in small organizations. It is time-consuming. Overemphasis on test performance. Fourth technique is 360-degree appraisal. In 360-degree feedback appraisal system, an employee is appraised by his supervisor, subordinates, peers, and customers with whom he interacts in the course of his job performance. All these appraisers provide information or feedback on an employee by completing survey questionnaires designed for this purpose. There are certain drawbacks associated with this. Firstly, this method is very time-consuming. Secondly, honest observations may not be received due to personal differences and biases. And the last technique is cost accounting method. This method evaluates an employee's performance from the monetary benefits the employee yields to his or her organization. This is ascertained by establishing a relationship between the costs involved in retaining the employee and the benefits an organization derives from him or her. Let's see a video to sum up the concept.